Hello students and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shefali Nagpal, Associate Professor at Human Resource Development Center, Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Sonipat. Let us start with the paper Development of the Management Thoughts, Principles and Types under the Human Resource Management title. Let us now start with Approaches of Management today. After completing this module, all the students will be able to firstly understand the concept of approaches of management, secondly to know different management practices, and thirdly to examine the effectiveness of the directorate approaches towards the organizational development. Now let us first take a glance at it. Environmental change and uncertainty, work technology and size of a company all are identified as environmental factors impacting the effectiveness of the different organizational forms. According to the contingency perspective, stable environment suggests mechanical structure that emphasizes centralization, formalization, standardization and specialization to achieve efficiency and consistency. Certainty and predictability permit the use of policies, rules and procedure to guide decision making for routine tasks and problems. Unstable environment suggests organic structures which emphasize decentralization to achieve the flexibility and adaptability. Uncertainty and unpredictability require general problem solving methods for no routine duties and challenges. Paul Lawrence and J. Losh suggest that organizational units operating in the different environments develop different internal unit characteristics that the greater the internal differences, the greater the need for coordination between the units. The Woodward found that financially successful manufacturing organizations with different types of work technologies such as unit or small batch, large batch or mass production or continuous process differed in the number of management levels, a span of management and degree of worker specialization. She linked differences in the organization to firm performance and suggested that certain organizational forms were appropriate for certain type of work technologies. The contingency approach, which is also called as situational approach, managers, consultants and researchers tried to apply the concept of major schools to real life situations and the approach emerged. The methods that were quite effective in one situation did not work in others. The explanations were sought as to why an organizational development programs work brilliantly in one situation and fail miserably in another. Because of the differences in the cases, it is a logical answer to such question under this approach. Thus, a technique that works in one case does not necessarily work in others. Accordingly, a manager has to identify the technique that will in a particular situation under special circumstances and at a given time works successfully and contributes to the achievement of the managerial goals. If management desires to increase the productivity, a new work simplification scheme may be prescribed by the classical theorist, while a psychologically motivated climate and a technique of job enrichment regarding both difference in the scope and responsibility and greater autonomy to make decisions may be prescribed by the behavioral scientist. However, the manager under the contingency approach goes for the solution that suits the best in the given situation. Work simplification is appropriate if workers are unskilled and resources and the training opportunities are limited. A job enrichment program is more efficient for craftsmen motivated by pride in their abilities. The contingency approach worked as a milestone in the development of the management thought, as it deals with each situation differently, giving a unique solution specifically required for that set of organizational relationships under the given circumstances. The contingency theory or the contingency approach, as you can see that there are the various factors like culture, technology, government, economy, geography, demography, which are contributing to the system. Now let us understand what are the various features of contingency approach. The main features of contingency approach are as follows. The application and its effect are contingent on the situation. As management is entirely situational, the condition and complexity of the situation determine which measure or technique is applicable. Since management success depends on its ability to compete with the environment, it should sharpen its skills to anticipate and comprehend with environmental changes. It is if and then approach to the management. Management has to determine the action taken. For example, if workers have strong psychological needs, then financial motivators should be adopted. There is not only single way to manage. The must not consider management principles and techniques are universal. Every situation is unique by itself and require different perspective and different handling. The practical utility of the contingency approach is it has a real usage in the management world. It is action oriented in nature. The main contributions of the contingency approach are: the reverse approach provides a clear picture of all the realities of the managerial job. It is not suggestive of preconceived principles. It is free from value judgments and exhorts managerial choices to be made in the light of environmental factors. The contingency approach does not suggest that findings of the earlier approaches are useless. It recognizes that managerial functions and principles are useful, but should be used with discretion and care to suit the specific situation. It is close to real world. It guides the managers that effectiveness of any technique is contingent on the given situation. It realizes that significant differences exist between each situation. Moreover, the best solution is the one that is responsive to the peculiarities of the particular situation. The contingency theory is beneficial to organizations because of the potential for learning from specific situations and using these lessons to influence future management of the same or similar situations. The ability to adapt to external pressures and changes is also an advantage. Contingency theory may also produce more well-rounded leaders who can develop their skills in multiple areas. Humanistic approach. The humanistic management theories were developed in the 20th century in reaction to the earlier theories of scientific management that emphasized productivity and profit over all other concerns. According to the Humanistic Management Center, an approach to management must include three key dimensions to be considered humanistic. Firstly is the respect for the basic dignity and humanity of employees, customers, or anyone else affected by the company's actions. Second is that all business decisions must include thoughtful and ethical analysis. Third is that business decisions should be made in dialogue with all those who will be affected by them. The Humanistic Management Center advocates a paradigm shift away from the economist views on the market activities towards the humanistic approach. To move from the criticism of the status quo towards a fruitful discourse on the alternative, we have developed a three-stepped approach offering guidance, and an anchor for the reflection on managerial decisions as well as decision-making processes. We understand humanistic management by three interrelated dimensions. There are firstly that we as human deserve and rightfully expect our dignity to be respected under all circumstances. Secondly, the ethical consideration must form part and parcel of business decisions. And thirdly, that actively embracing corporate responsibility is contingent upon initiating and maintaining an ongoing dialogue with the stakeholders. Firstly, the genuine respect for the dignity of every person is the foundation of interpersonal interaction, including any interaction taking place in the business context. Part of what makes us human is our shared vulnerability. Investigating humanistic management is therefore based on the fundamental acceptance that the condition human entails our common need for protection of our human dignity. Respecting every person in all its depth and complexity as individually unique and collectively worthy of complete freedom from the exploitation, a shared endeavor of societies and all their institutions. We must therefore never view people as mere means of production within economic processes, but embrace every person as ends in themselves. Secondly, that ethical reflections must form an integrated part of business decisions. If one follows through on certain respect for the dignity of all persons, one must accept that decisions that impact others must be examined regarding their consequences for all those affected. Humanistic management consequently criticizes one-dimensional managerial objectives such as profit maximization. Economic rationality becomes incompatible with protecting human dignity whenever it leaves no room for balancing of interest of stakeholders based on the quality of arguments articulated. When factual powers overrides the argumentative powers, as many paradigm shift that proclaims the maximization of particular interest demands, those interests that cannot enforce their consideration are excluded and suppressed. However, equally respecting all stakeholders is necessary precondition of unconditional respect for the dignity of all the persons affected by the company's activity. In short, without the integration of the ethical consideration into managerial decision making, claims of assuming corporate responsibility are little more but a hollow catchphrase. Thirdly, the seeking normative legitimacy for corporate activities is crucial for assuming corporate responsibilities. This third dimension, which is to be understood as the dialogical extension of ethical reflection on corporate conduct, allows for aligning of good intentions with activities that have the potential to produce good outcomes. The integration of ethical reflection into business decisions alone can be seen as monological process in which decision maker might, in all sincerity, fail to see the concerns of others, leading to what we may call honest mistakes. Therefore, the third guiding principle, seeking normative legitimacy, is necessary to ensure that the outcomes of monological ethical reflections are tested by entering into a dialogue with those who may challenge any aspect of a business conduct. The only managerial decision about whether a certain action is ethically sound is thereby transferred to the moral side of the stakeholder dialogue, where the manager shares the responsibility with the interested parties to embark a course of action that is acceptable to all the parties. Now, let us see the humanistic aspect or the humanistic approach. In the figure, you can see that the individual and the environment. Individual is motivated and there is a phenomenal field which consists of self, which has objects, people, thoughts, images and behavior, and the environment makes the learning. The humanistic management network advocates a paradigm shift away from the economist view on the market activities towards a humanistic approach. To move from the criticism of the status quo towards a fruitful discourse on alternative, we have developed a three-stepped approach offering the guidance and an anchor for reflection on managerial decision as well as decision-making process. We understand humanistic management by three interrelated dimensions. Firstly, that we as human deserve and rightfully expect our dignity to be respected under all circumstances. Secondly, the ethical consideration must form part and parcel of the business decision. And thirdly, the actively embracing corporate social responsibility is contingent upon initiating and maintaining an ongoing dialogue with all stakeholders. The humanistic management network defends human dignity in the face of vulnerability. The dignity of the person lies in his or her capacity to define autonomously the purpose of her or his existence. Since human autonomy realizes itself through the social cooperation, economic relations, and business activities, can either foster or obstruct human life and well-being. Against the widespread objectification of the human subject into the human resources, against the common instrumentalization of the people into human capital and a mere means for profit, we uphold humanity as the ultimate end and fundamental principle of all economic activity. Let us understand the various definitions of mechanistic approaches and understand its concept. According to the Black Law Dictionary, mechanistic organization is the organization in which hierarchical and bureaucratic both are existence. It is characterized by highly centralized authority. Secondly, formalized procedures and practices. Thirdly, specialized functions. The mechanistic organization is relatively easier and simpler to organize, but rapid change is very challenging. Contrast to the organic organizations. Although a new company, small size, may not require a strict organization of work and workers, growth demands the order. Organizing tasks and employees produces a business structure. Mechanistic describe the strictest and the most formal of all these structures. Mechanistic companies have fine division of labor, resulting in highly specialized jobs. They rely on the management for the control, creating a bureaucracy, and they have many rules and a strict chain of command. The company can be linked to a machine in many parts, synchronized to produce a standard and a predictable output. In the early 20th century, the industrial age was well underway and the mass production has taken hold. Business thinkers were studying work and workplaces, coming up with the ideas on how to best promote the highest possible efficiency and productivity. They viewed workplace like machine. The mechanistic organization evolved from this, featuring job specialization and a bureaucratic management hierarchy, centralized power resting at the top of the organization, and many rules. These characteristics do indeed produce efficiency and productivity. The mechanical organizational structure also let a company benefit through the economies of scale, especially as applied to mass production. Let us go in detail. Because of their hierarchy, mechanical structures are vertically oriented. The most mechanistic are the functional organizational structure with its all triangular and tall shape. Many workers from the structure foundation group into the departments by similar activities such as production. Above them sits their manager. Each manager narrowly specializes in some limited part of the larger whole. One manager can easily supervise many employees and had a wide span of control. The span of control gets moving up the organization where manager manages other managers. The central power of the company crowns it all. Now let us see what is the advantage. In the mechanistic organization, activities are divided into groups by common nature. Works are distributed among the subordinates by their skill and their efficiency. There is a proper discipline. In the organization structure, the top level management has centralized power. There is a system of chain of command from top level to the secondary level. Subordinates are responsible for their immediate superiors. Therefore, all the subordinates perform activities according to the best of their abilities. It minimizes the supervision cost. The works are divided among the employees by their specialization. It means the right job is assigned to the right person. It helps to minimize supervision cost as all the subordinates perform activities according to their best of their capabilities. There is quick decision making and implementation, because only top level management involves in decision making process. It does not consult with subordinates in decision making process. Therefore, quick decision and its implementation become possible. Moreover, in this competitive market environment, quick decision and its implementations are essential for the business success. The another is network position. There is a provision of network of position in the management hierarchy. The top level management provides instruction and guidance to the middle level managers to the lower level managers, and again lower level managers to operating level employees. This network is taken into consideration while communicating information. It helps for the timely flow of information. Fixation of responsibility in the organizational structure. Each has given specific responsibility by the ability. He can neither transfer job to others nor avoid it. Thus, the concerned employee need to accomplish given job himself. It develops the feeling of self-responsibility among all the employees. There is effective management. It is bureaucratic form of organization structure. In this organization, there are specific rules, regulations, policies, and working system. The top level management has sole authority in decision making process. So there is a system of chain of command from top level to the secondary levels. Therefore, manager can effectively manage the organization. But disadvantages are also accompanied with this structure. As a mechanical structure gained widespread and prolonged use, researchers and organizational designers found that very mechanization that follows for productivity, economy and efficiency also cause problems. The structure's inherent bureaucracy hampers efforts to respond to outside market forces quickly. Innovation has to wait on red tape. Rigid controls and job specialization means employees are free to be creative problem solvers. As mere cogs, staff morale may be low. Finally, grouping employees by function contribute to departmental isolation. Interdepartmental cooperation and communication suffer in mechanical structures. Another is work overloaded manager. In this kind of organization, there is a provision of centralized authority and decision making authority is vested in the top level manager. Besides, the manager needs to involve in day-to-day supervision and guidance. Hence, it maximizes the work overload on the manager, due to which he can not involve in creative and innovative work. There is autocratic leadership in such kind of an organization. The system of delegation of authority to subordinates by given responsibility does not prevail here. Subordinates need to accomplish given job. They have no right to provide suggestions and informations to the manager. It does not support for expansion and diversification of the business. There is a static and the rigid controlled structures. It emphasizes on standardized activities. There is no provision of change in working system and procedures by changing the environment of the society. In such cases, it is harder to adapt the organizational activities in the dynamic environment. More formalization is there in such kind of systems. There is a provision of rules, regulations and policies for official activities. All subordinates need to work in accordance with the specified rules and policies of the organization. They cannot use their skills and efficiency while doing work. The fulfillment of more formalization makes difficulty for a quick decision and smooth functioning of the organization. There is also the disadvantage of impractical decision. There is no provision of participation of subordinates in decision-making process. They have no right to provide suggestions and information to the managers at the time of taking a decision. Only top-level manager is involved in decision-making process. Since limited persons are involved in decision-making, there is a responsibility of impractical decision. In such kind of mechanistic structure, there is only one-way communication and it emphasizes autocratic leadership. The information is communicated vertically only from top to secondary levels. Here, only the manager provides information of instructions and guidance to the subordinates. Such one-way system of communication does not support for the smooth functioning of the organization. It is hard for the coordination also. In this structure, specific work is assigned to individuals by their skills. They perform the given task properly. However, there is no mechanism for maintaining the coordination over their performance. Hence, top-level management need to spend more time. Let us discuss the characteristics. Employees are often found working in groups and share inputs on the task. They are usually teams that handle one task. Communication is open between the employees, managers and executive, though they are typically just known as the owners. There is a great scale of verbal communication between parties. There is also more face-to-face time within the hierarchy of power. Another is structure. Companies in an organic organization structure typically have one or more open communication and contribution to the task at hand. The structure of the business is more adaptable and flexible to changes. The environment is unpredictable, but because of the freedom afforded the employees and the management, it is better maintained. The good example of this type of structure would be Google and the coveted positions that lie within the Facebook corporation. Organic organizations have quickly realized that a happy workplace makes for a happy employee. Mechanistic structures include, firstly, belief upper management is better capable of making decisions. Secondly, management instructions must be followed. Thirdly, communication and control must proceed through hierarchical routes. Next, more emphasis towards completing a task opposed by achieving company goals. Employees are more job specialized and placed into certain departments. Another is low differentiation of tasks. Now, let us summarize what we have studied in this module. The environmental factors of an organization like uncertainty, technology, work technology and the size of the company, they impact the effectiveness of the different organizational forms. Different approaches advocate different views. In contingency approach, stable environment suggests mechanistic structures that emphasize centralization, formalization, standardization and specialization to achieve the efficiency and consistency. The Humanistic Management Center advocate a paradigm shift away from the economistic view on market activities towards a humanistic approach. In mechanistic organization, activities are divided into the groups on the basis of common nature. Works are divided among the subordinate on the basis of their skill and efficiency. Thank you.